Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video today I'm going to show you how to test if you have a problem with the starter and needs to be replaced, or you have problem somewhere else. Plus I'll be showing you how to replace this starter the easy way under 1 hour, and I'll be showing on a engine N51, which is basically the same as N52. Now, before, let's say that your car does not suddenly stop starting, and well, make sure that this is not your battery, because battery would be the #1 issue. Usually the starter will click if battery is undercharged, but if you don't hear that clicking noise, you need to verify if the power is getting from the back of the trunk all the way to the engine compartment, and that would be the indication that you have a power at the battery and that there is no broken wire between the trunk and the under the hood. So for this you will need a basic multimeter, and flip this cap, remove it, set your basic multimeter to DC settings. Obviously make sure that your battery terminals are tight on the back of the in the trunk, and measure if you have any voltage here. As you can see on my display, mine is at 12 volt and 12.4 volts, which is good, no problem at all. Now this post is always going to give you power if your ignition is on or off. If you don't see voltage right here, then there is no reason to go any further. You have to look inside of your trunk if there is a problem with one of the battery wires. Maybe there is a big long wire coming from the back of the battery all the way to here, long wire undercarriage, and maybe that wire got corroded, and that's why you don't have any power here. So, but if you do have power here, then that means that this power is getting transferred through this wire all the way to your starter. So next step, remove this plastic cap and verify if this wire is not loose, like in my case. Well, in my case it's loose because of I removed that nut already previously, but you should have exactly the same voltage at this wire. So let's test it one more time so we can eliminate this. So 1239 on my display. So I do have a voltage coming from here to here. Now then the voltage travels through that cable to the starter directly. Some of you might say, well, maybe that cable is loose on the starter itself. Let me show you the actual starter. Yes, I guess it's a possibility that this nut got loose and the wire came off. I don't believe it, because you have like 1 out of 10,000 chances that this has happened, but who knows. You can verify that too. So for this I'm going to use my light. I'm going to put my light right here and look inside in between. You should see wires with a red insulation going into the starter. Okay, same red insulation as here, like a shrink wrapping or like a rubber boot. So do you see this? If you see the red plastic insulators on the wire, that's the one that is connected to the starter. So some of you might say, well, maybe you should test it if voltage is the same, if you can reach it. Well, I can. For this I'm going to use a long flat screwdriver, and because this is a plastic intake, I'm not going to touch any metal objects. I'm going to touch it directly to the contact, directly on the starter. For example, if I would show you on this starter right here, I would be touching right here. That's where that red insulator is. Okay, So let's do that. I'm going to put my screwdriver and leave it like that, and with my multimeter I'm going to touch with one probe to the negative, which is to the frame of the vehicle, and with my other probe I'm going to touch the screwdriver. And let's look at this the display. 11. It's jumping because I don't have a good contact right there, because the screwdriver is tight. I mean tight, loose, I'm sorry. So let's do it one more time. And I have 12.39. Same voltage as we have right here. So I know for sure that this cable is connected to the starter, and it's passing power all the way from the back of the trunk to this post, from this post all the way to the starter. Now, but this is not the only wire that going to the starter. Another positive wire will be going here. Single white wire will be going to the starter. And some of you might say, well, maybe this plug is got unplugged, and that's why the starter is not working. Well, could be, but you also have a 1 out of 10,000 chances that this clip would come off, unless it was not clicked in, and this plug just simply got unplugged. Well, let me show you how to, because you cannot touch with a screwdriver anywhere here, and in order to remove this plug you have to remove the entire intake. So let me show you the easy way how to verify if this plug is plugged in and it has a good solid contact. Okay, now for this you will need to remove the intake, which is 10mm 2 bolts right here, and then with your flat screwdriver you will need to remove clamp right here. So this clamp right here, 10mm 2 bolts, and the intake, the plug that goes to this sensor right here. So unplug that, and then we're ready to remove air filter box. Okay. Okay. This is what you need to remove, the complete air filter assembly. And now you're gonna look underneath for there is a bunch of wires that you're gonna see, but you're going to look exactly, just one second, you're going to look exactly for this single plug right here. Let me move some other way, so I'm touching it with my finger. This is a single plug, and if you move a loom, plastic loom, you will see one white wire, single wire. So you need to unplug this plug. Now, this is the plug that you will be unplugging, and basically you need to have a little pick tool to remove this clip, and this clip will be facing inside of the engine, not outside, so it's not visible, so you will have to insert your tool and pry it out. Only then you can unclick it. Okay, so I removed mine already, and I'm just going to unclick it from its spot. Just one second, I need light. Okay, okay, this is a single wire that you want to look for. This is the single wire that going directly to the starter. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to send power directly to this single wire, directly to the starter. And if my starter is going to spin, that means that starter is good and there is a problem somewhere else. Maybe the starter relay is the problem. Maybe there is a wiring issue somewhere inside of the electrical box where the fuses are. Maybe some of the animals been damaged some of the wires. That's why there is no power. So let me show you how to override this single wire. Now for this, I'm going to use a regular electrical wire that I had in my garage, sitting doing nothing, and I'm going to connect it directly to this post. Now this post has an active power, so be very careful. I'm going to use a clamp to secure it for my test. Okay, so it's tight. Now I'm going to verify at the end of the wire. At the end of the wire I have two wires. I'm going to verify where the positive coming from. So okay, let's see from here. Well, there you go. I have almost 4 volts. Yeah, right here, 12.4. So I know that this wire is hot right now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some light here. So I'm going to send this hot wire into that pin right here. There is only one wire, you cannot miss, and you should see the contact internally. Now my vehicle is a manual transmission, so if your vehicle is the same, make sure that you put on the neutral. Otherwise, if the starter is in working order, it's going to jump on you and you might get injured. So make sure that you apply parking brake and put on the neutral. If you have automatic, you don't have to worry about. So I'm sending power right now to that single plug. I just need one hot wire because negative is always present on the body of the starter. And as you can see, maybe I hope you can see, there's a little tiny spark when I'm touching that contact. Little tiny spark, and it's making some sparking noise, slight sparking noise. Starter is not turning over, but I can clearly see spark. I hope you can on the camera, which means that my starter is shot, it's burned. This tail, this wire, the white wire, single wire, is connected directly to the starter, otherwise I would not see a spark. So if you're trying to connect it and you don't see a light spark, maybe your wire is disconnected, so try to wiggle it. Maybe it's going to come out freely. Mine is sitting tight and I can see a spark. I'm going to turn off the light, maybe it's going to show spark. Anyway, there is a spark, guys. So that means that my starter is shot and I know for sure that I need to replace it. Well, next step, let me show you how to replace it the easy way. Now I'm going to remove this clamp that I was using as my extension cord, basically. This wire, gray wire. I'm going to cover this open source of power. And the next step for the safety, you wanna disconnect this wire that go into the starter. So take a 13mm socket and the nut and disconnect it. So that's it. Only now you're ready to work on your vehicle and replace the starter. Now next step, you wanna unclick this entire plastic, because you will be removing the plastic cover and there is a 1 bolt underneath. Now next, unclick this, so nothing is going to hold this wire. So unplug this wire, easy. Next step, you're going to remove 4 screws that hold in the air filter. 4 screws, and one will be right here. So you need to remove this. Next step, you're going to remove those covers on each side of the vehicle. Now on this one, there is a plastic clips that you have to pry it out. Now removing the sensor and put on the side, and there is one on another side. It's just twisting it with a half of a turn. Now after you remove this, and there is a screw will be right, one of them right here and another one on the other side, and another one here. 2 screws. Now you can lift up this and remove it completely. Okay, next step, you're going to open this plastic cap and you will find Torx bolt. So remove this Torx bolt. Okay, next you will be removing this Torx bolt right here and slide out this bar because it will be on your way. Okay, now next you will be removing this bolt right here, Allen 5mm bolt, one here and one here. Then you lift it up with your hand, this cover, and removing it. There is a clip that holding this airline, removing this cover. Okay, now next you want to disconnect this airline from over here. Simply pull it out. There is no clamp, just sitting like that. Now next you're going to remove 2 nuts, 10mm nuts that hold in this hydraulic tank, and you want to open this clamp and you want to press this top right here on both sides and put the vacuum line somewhere that it will not be on your way. Now you're lifting up the tank, put right here, which is fine. Then you want to remove the bracket. There is 3 bolts, 1, 2 and 3, 3 nuts, I mean 3 nuts that hold in this bracket, and you want to just put on the side. You don't need to remove it, just put up. Now next you will be removing 11mm bolts and nuts that hold in the intake manifold. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. After you remove them, you need to take a pick tool and also open this clip in order to unplug your oil sensor, oil pressure temperature sensor. I guess it's a temperature. Anyway, next you will be clicking on this tab and unplugging the injector rail. Okay, just like this. This is it, guys. We are ready to gently put on the side our intake manifold and look inside at the starter. Okay, as you can see, there was nothing wrong with the plug, there was nothing wrong with the wire, everything was connected, so my starter is seized. Now my next step, removing this 13mm nut and on this clip. Okay, just like this. Okay, and the very last two bolts that hold in the starter. So one of them will not be that easy visible because it's from the other side. So you will need a, let me show you what wrench I used. Just a sec. Basically, I used swivel wrench like this with a torque socket E14, and I went from the inside. I'm sorry. Maybe you want to see from here. Maybe you want to see from there the bolt that I removed. Let me take a long screwdriver and show you. This is the bolt. And it's aluminum bolt, guys, so if you drop it, you would have to remove engine plastic cover to get to that bolt, because it's going to be there. I hope you can see that bolt, and I'm going to remove it right now. It will be a pretty long bolt, by the way. Here it is, and it's aluminum. The book says that you must replace them every time you replace the starter, but to be honest with you, I don't see a reason for that. Now there's one more bolt, so let me show you the starter, actual starter. This was bolt going this way, and there is another bolt going this way. So I'm going to remove this one next. And this is the same way. Just 1 second. I'm just taking a extension E14 socket and going from the inside. There is enough room for my hand and for the wrench to loosen it. It's the same way, same aluminum bolt, so be very careful that you don't drop it. Just a sec. Now, even if you drop this one, it's going to sit on the engine, nowhere else. Now the engine is sitting pretty tight. You need a mallet, rubber mallet, to hammer it one time, just to move it from its spot. So I'm using this mallet right here. And there you go. You just need a little help with a rubber mallet. And I'm going to pull it out. There is enough room to pull out the starter without removing the complete intake manifold. Well, now we have a starter here. Now, to confirm that I was right, the starter was seized, I'm going to test it with my jumper box. 12 volt. I'm going to connect it here, and I'm going to connect the negative here, and I need one more small wire. Just 1 second. Okay, so I got myself a jumper wire, and I'm going to simulate it as an ignition switch and send power directly to the solenoid, starter solenoid. So My jumper box is showing 13 volts, ready to go. And if my starter is still good and I misdiagnosed it, then my starter is supposed to spin as soon as I touch with this wire to this pin right here. But as you can see, same little spark, motor is not responding. Maybe it's a problem with the solenoid, Bendix. Maybe motor still good, so I can override this solenoid by sending power directly to this post right here, and if the motor is still good, it's going to respond and spin. But nothing. My starter failed, and that's the confirmation. This is the same way you can test your new starter before you install it to your vehicle. So guys, I did not waste your time of showing how to install everything back in place in the reverse order, because it was pretty clear, I believe, how it was removed. It's going back same way. The last part, the last component that I installed was a power wire, because it's a safety and you want to reconnect it as the last part. This is it. Make sure that everything is in place, everything is intact, all of the connections, hoses, air lines, whatever you disconnected. I did not replace the O-rings on the intake because mine were perfect. Even though they don't cost that much, maybe I will replace them one day if I will see the problem. I did not have any problems with the evap leak or any other misfiring or anything like that. My motor was working perfectly. Now I'm ready to start my engine for the first time to see if the new replaced starter is working as it should. Okay, so the moment of truth. I'm pressing my clutch pedal and pushing starter button. Wow, instant response from the starter. Very healthy sound, comparably what I heard before when I was starting my car for the last 3-4 months. It was a sound like a sluggish, like undercharged battery. But now it's very clear and crisp. Very fast. Nice. I installed a rebuilt starter, genuine but rebuilt starter. I knew that my starter is going to fail. I knew it 3-4 months ago, so I purchased a rebuilt starter and it was waiting for this day until I'm going to replace it. So my previous failed starter lasted me 4 months with that sluggish sound before it's completely stopped working. This is it. I hope this video was helpful for somebody who is diagnosing and or replacing the starter. God bless United States, Canada and Ukraine. Stay safe guys. Bye.